Now this is the exciting part for me because all of this information is now going to be tied together into a neat little package to show you that what we have been going through, this process we have going through, has not been created by chance, but has been created by geniuses of the early age. And when they created this, it was through logic, through mathematical probabilities, through structure, geometric, and you'll find that it all ties together very logically. It's not random in any way. And here is one example. First of all, when you had C major, it had no sharps or flats. Then you discovered that G major had one sharp, F sharp. D major has two sharps. One of those sharps is F sharp, and then the other one is C sharp. I don't think I'm going to have enough room here, but we'll see. A major, you discovered, had three sharps. F sharp, C sharp, and G sharp. E major had four sharps. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, and D sharp. By the way, do you start seeing a pattern here? Look at your key signature. C sharp, G sharp, D sharp. Again, it's not by chance that this occurred. B major has five sharps. F sharp, C sharp. Now I could look at my key signatures, know what the next one's going to be called. G sharp, D sharp. Okay, and A sharp. Then I have F sharp major is going to have six sharps, which are F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, and we can easily guess what the next sharp is because it's going to be the seventh note of the scale. Remember, the missing sharp is always the seventh note of the scale. In G major, that's F sharp. The last sharp is always the seventh note of the scale. In D major, it's C sharp. What's one note before A? G. Last sharp is G sharp. What's one note before E? D. Last sharp is D sharp. What's one note before B? A. Last sharp is A sharp. So what's one note before F? E. So that's going to be the name of the last sharp in F sharp major. And finally, C sharp major, you should have guessed, will be seven sharps because either it has nothing or it has everything. C major has nothing, C sharp major has everything, which, according to this, would be F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, E sharp, and finally the last one is B sharp. So there's the chart, ladies and gentlemen, for the sharps. Now here's the part that you need to understand. There is no accident here. And just to show you how ingenious this is, the answer was in front of you at the whole time you're doing the assignment. Look at the word sharp. How many letters are there in the word sharp? 1, 2, 3, 4. There are 5 letters in the word sharp. What is the distance between C and G? C, D, E, F, G. It's 5. What's the distance between G and D? G, A, B, C, D. It's 5. Between D and A. D, E, F, G, A. It's 5. They're all 5 apart. Sharp has 5 letters in it. All the sharps are 5 letters apart. I mean, how ingenious is that? It's all based on the word sharp. Coincidence? I don't think so. Now that we know this order, now that we've made a chart of all of this, now we need to construct what's known as key signatures. And this is what it's all about. First of all, I've already taught you the degrees of the scale, which I will later then elaborate on. But right now, let's talk about keys and key signatures for the sharps. So we have that particular chart. When it comes to that chart, the order that the sharps fall on and where they are placed on the staff is not random either. In fact, it's rather ingenious again. F sharp is located right there. Remember that when you're writing key signatures, just like when you're writing notes, you must make sure there is no ambiguity. You must make sure the line goes through the middle of the sharp when you're indicated, or it is sitting in the space. If you put it anywhere else, it'll be wrong. So F sharp's on the top line. C sharp is next to it. Do not pile them on top of each other. They follow adjacent to each other. Okay? So F sharp is, or C sharp is in the second or the third space. Now, remember I told you that there were two specific numbers that this whole theoretical premise was based on. They were church numbers. One was 7. Remember there are 7 note names. Okay, there are 7 different accidentals that you discovered here. Well, the same thing applies. One of the other numbers is 3. Okay, Father, Son, and Holy Ghost. That's one of the church numbers. What geometric form has 3 sides? The triangle. And take a look at the structure of your sharp key signatures. F sharp, C sharp, and they put G sharp up here. Why did they not put it down on the second line? Because it would form a straight line. No, by putting it up there, it forms the triangle. One of the church numbers, 3. Then you put D sharp here. There's another triangle, ladies and gentlemen. Then A sharp. Now they put A sharp down here because it would then be way up here on a ledger line. There's a point where you have to stop and you have to recreate. So there's where the A sharp goes. Then E sharp. And then finally B sharp, which is not a very good one. There's B sharp. And look at that. Triangle. Triangle. Not only is it that, but if you draw a line straight through there, this becomes a mirror image. It's symmetrical. Not only that, it's also a parallelogram. Take a look. F, G, C, D, E, A, B. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, E sharp, and B sharp. Now, I already talked about the structure. It's a triangle, based on triangle, which is 3, one of the church numbers. It's symmetrical. It's a mirror image of itself. In the bass clef, it's exactly the same thing. Now, hopefully you've now started to understand what the relationship is between the treble clef and the bass clef. Everything in the bass clef is always located one line down or one space down from where it's located in the treble clef. As an example, if you have the note C located in the third space in the treble clef, in the bass clef, it will then be on the second space. That's the note C. Well, the same thing goes here for the key signature. This is the key signature, by the way, in case you haven't figured it out, of C sharp major. It has all the sharps, all 7 sharps. So the relationship between this and the bass clef is simply take all of it, and if it's on a line, move it down one line. If it's in a space, move it down one space. So F sharp will then be on the 4th line. C sharp will be on the 2nd space. G sharp will be located in the 4th space. D sharp, 3rd line. A sharp on the 1st space, E sharp on the 3rd space, and B sharp on the 2nd line. But the structure remains the same. You have F and G, C, D, and E, A and B. You still have your triangles. And you still have a symmetrical form. All it is, it's just been moved down. If it's on a line, down a line. It's on a space, down the next space. That's the relationship between treble and bass clef. To remember the order of these sharps, we've made up a rhyme which you need to memorize. And you're going to need this rhyme. You're going to run into it so many times. And it goes as follows. Father Charles goes down and ends battle. Father Charles goes down and ends battle. F sharp, C sharp, G sharp, D sharp, A sharp, E sharp, B sharp. Now remember we talked about that we discovered that the missing sharp in every key was on the 7th note. That was the last sharp of the scale. It used all the sharps from the previous scale, and then the missing sharp was always on the 7th note. So we can then conclude that the 7th note is always the last sharp in the scale and also in the key signature. If that's the case, then if it has one sharp, what's one note above F? Considering that's the 7th note, is the last sharp. So therefore we're going to be in the key of one note up is G. If it's F sharp and C sharp, there are 2 sharps. Well, that's the 7th note of the scale. Therefore, what key are we going to be in? Well, if F or C is the 7th note, then D is going to be the 8th note. That's the name of the key. So D has 2 sharps, F and C sharp. If G is the last sharp, F, C, and G sharp, well, what's one note up above G? A. F, C, G, and D. What's one note up from D? E. We're in E major. If it has F, C, G, D, and A sharp, what key are we in? Well, what's one note above A? B. F, C, G, D, A, and E. Now we can't call, one note above E is F, but we can't call it F. Why? Because one of the sharps in the key signature is F sharp, so we have to call it F sharp major. Can't call it F major because it's one of the sharps. And finally, the last one's going to be C sharp major. So all you have to do is remember that the last sharp in the key signature is the 7th note of the scale. Therefore, the 8th note is going to be the name of the scale, the name of the key. So if I have 4 sharps and the last sharp is D sharp, Father Charles goes down. One note above down is E. I'm in E major. So I'm playing the E major scale, and the E major scale has 4 sharps. F, C, G, and D. And the reverse is also true. If I know that I'm in the key of E major, okay, they've told me, okay, you're playing in the key of E major. Okay, what's the key signature then? Well, what's the last sharp in the scale of E major? Well, it's the 7th note. So the 7th note is D sharp. Father Charles goes down, has 4 sharps. Again, E major, what's the very last, the name of the last sharp? D. It's the 7th note of the scale. So therefore I just go back 1 note. That's D sharp. I go Father Charles goes down, has 4 sharps. Let's say if it was D major. Well, what's the 7th note? What's 1 note before D? Well, it's the note C, Father Charles. All right, I'm in B major. Well, what's 1 note before B? A. Father Charles goes down and 5 sharps. And that's how you figure it out. Okay, now you'll have to go through this a couple of times, trying it yourself in order to be able to figure it out, okay? But this is going to at least get you through the first part, writing scales, which is the first part of the assignment. The second part of the assignment is to just write the key signature. And then after that is the next part where you have to figure out the degrees of the scale, and that will be the next video.